You ever feel like you did everything right at work? You worked hard, you stayed low key, and you're super easy to work with. And somehow you're still not the obvious choice for the promotion. Yeah, it's frustrating. But that's not a confidence problem. That's a visibility problem. That's a visibility problem because here's the truth that nobody says out loud. Being easy to work with doesn't get you promoted, but being the easy one for your boss to trust, that does. And you know what? Those are two very different things. So if you ever felt overlooked, even though you know that you're capable, this episode is going to change how you start showing up starting today. What's going on? Welcome back to the Ordinary to Badass podcast, the podcast where women in predominantly male industries learn to rise, lead, and own their power without apology. So today we are doing part 2 because last week we talked about assimilation, about fitting in, and how you learn to play by the rules. And if you listened to that episode, you probably had a moment where you said, wait, I've been doing this my entire career. Yeah, because nobody tells us any different. Nobody shows us that there's a different way. So today we flip it. Because last week you heard about how we've been playing the wrong game, and today we're going to talk about how the game is actually played. But before we get there, I want to talk about what felt ordinary and what felt badass this week. So, what felt ordinary? Honestly, weight struggles. This has been an issue or a thing that has haunted me for years. And it gets old. I get tired of thinking about it. Like, do we have to go through the same shit again and again? Can it just be done? So, like 6 months ago, I had super high blood pressure and I went to the doctor. And then recently, I had my follow up. My blood pressure was still high. And here's the thing, I'm confident in my body. It's less about my weight, more about healthy, right? That's the big thing for now is, yeah, if I have high blood pressure, I gotta be healthy. So that feels ordinary. That feels normal to me. Maybe not like the blood pressure thing other than the last 6 months, but like the the weight part of it has definitely been an issue in my life. Or the weight part of it has definitely been something that I've struggled with. So now let's look at the flip side. What felt badass? And you know what? This is going to sound so small and probably silly. If you're not going through it, it's going to sound silly. But for me, it was huge. My doctor told me to get a blood pressure cuff. So I promptly did. And then it sat in my closet for a week. Unopened, I had no interest in taking it out, totally avoided it, wanted nothing to do with it. Then I was talking to a coworker and he told me his doctor told him the same thing and his was sitting in the box for the past year. And I was like, oh, interesting. And I could see when it was somebody else, when it's not me, how it's fear running the show, right? So for whatever reason, that was the exact kick in the butt that I needed. Because let's be real, ignoring something doesn't make it not true. It doesn't make it better. It just delays the inevitable. So the next day, I took it out and I used it. That's it. Not gonna lie, it stressed me out a little bit. But after that, then I'm like, okay, I did it. It's done. I got my first one out of the way. And it felt good knowing that I wasn't avoiding it anymore. I could take action. And since my doctor's appointment, I've been making small choices, including eating better. I'm trying to be intentional about the food that I put in my mouth. Okay, don't laugh at me because I literally went grocery shopping with my friend Chatty, and I was like taking pictures of labels on food that I was gonna get and like asking, okay, is this good for my blood pressure? How about my cholesterol? And so many times I took pictures and asked, but it just gave me the information that I needed. So I didn't have to try to figure it all out on my own. So if you're struggling with something right now, first of all, I hear you, I feel you. And also, if you're feeling guilt, shame, fear, I got you. Because you know what? Sometimes the hardest part is just facing it. But once you do, there's a release. And there's a bit of a weight off your shoulders because now you're in it. You know what you're facing and you can do something about it. And honestly, that ties in perfectly to today's episode because a lot of you, you're doing the same thing at work. You're doing the work, but you're not fully showing it. So let's talk about what happens next because here's the problem. You learned how to fit in. You learned how to be agreeable, how to be low maintenance, to be easy to work with. And listen, that worked. That did its job for a time. It's what got you here, but that's not the thing that's going to get you promoted. So this is the shift, and I need you to hear this. You don't get promoted for being easy to work with. You get promoted for being easy to trust with more. And you know what? Those are not the exact same thing. Because if you're easy to work with, don't cause problems, you keep things smooth, and you make people comfortable. Being easy to trust with more equal means they believe you can handle complexity. They trust your decisions. They feel confident putting you in charge. Promotions are not rewards. They are risk decisions. And your boss, they're not asking who worked the hardest. They're asking themselves who feels like the safest bet. And here's the part that most people get wrong. You think that you need to do more. And your brain is like, what? I already do so much. I know. And that's not the issue. The problem is your boss, they only see a fraction of your work. So if they don't see it, it can't factor into their decision making. Not fully, anyway. So I'm over that. I want to fix that. So from here on out, I just want you to stop assuming that people get it, that your boss gets it. Because you know what? They don't. So instead of just saying, I handled that, say, here's what I handled and here's what changed. Make your impact visible. Don't just hint at an outcome. Be direct. Say it. Your boss isn't a mind reader. So that was shift number 1, going from doing to translating. Shift number 2 is going from agreeable to decisive. Not louder, not more aggressive, just clear. Instead of asking, what do you think? Give a recommendation. Say, here's what I recommend, and here's why. That is leadership language. Shift number 3 helps you go from reliable to promotable. If you're reliable, that means they're going to keep you right where you are. When you're promotable, they can picture you going to the next level. So the question becomes, can they see me there? Can they see me at the next position? How much work will it take? How much stress will it be on me? That's what your boss is asking. What's the risks here? So here's the truth. And the thing, people always say you need to be more confident, or they think that you need more confidence to promote. It's just not true. You don't need to be more confident. You need to be more understood. So if you're sitting here thinking, I'm doing everything right at work, but I'm still not being seen as the obvious choice, that is exactly what we're fixing next. Inside my masterclass, behind closed doors, I show you how promotion decisions are actually made. And then also what your boss is really looking for and how to position yourself as the safest bet. You can find the link for that masterclass in the show notes. It is so stinking good. And these are the secrets that bosses are talking about behind closed doors that nobody is sharing. And click the link in the show notes or go to Instagram, DM me, Rise, and I'll send you the information. You want to be in this class. So if this episode hit home, then send it to another woman who needs to hear it. Because I don't know about you, but I'm done doing this alone. We're not doing this alone anymore. So until next time, keep showing up, keep speaking up, and never ever shrink for a seat at the table. Because you were born to build it.